right, tonight's talk. We've been breaking down the NFC South all week long. So let's put exclamation point on the sentence, and we're going to feature the Houston Texans. If you missed any of the show earlier, we talked to Adam Wexler, who covers the Texans there in H-Town. You can always listen to the podcast version of BetMGM Tonight wherever you download and get your podcast. Subscribe to the BetMGM podcast and go back and listen to our interviews and our insights that Horvat and I are giving you every single day in fantasy football and the world of sports betting. The reason why we call this a 3-point stance is because we feature fantasy values, we talk some player props, and a little team lean. See the 3 there on the over-under on wins. So let's start off in the world of fantasy football. And here's how it's played. I'm going to throw out 3 players. I'm going to give you their current average draft position, also known as ADP. Then I'm going to ask Horvat on that specific player. Is he overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued? So let's start off. Again, I'm a loud and proud member of Team Stroud. C.J. Stroud, quarterback 16 ADP right now, 129.40 overall in early drafts. At that valuation, Horvey, is he overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued?
I hate to do it, Brad, because I am a member of the Stroud Boys, but I think he's overvalued. I don't know that he's a top 20 quarterback. I do think that they upgraded in the wide receiver room. I love Nico Wright. Unfortunately, Tank Dell will not be healthy this season, but my concern is that offensive line. It was already a huge weakness last year, which is why, in my opinion, C.J. Stroud regressed and the schedule a little bit. But Laramie Tunsil was their only offensive lineman who had an overall grade above 70, and they traded him away. So I don't feel any better about the offensive line, man. So I'm going to say slightly overvalued here.
I'm with you, man. And again, I have him in a keeper league. I got him for nothing. So it's a 2-quarterback format, and he's going to be retained again, and he'll do what he needs to do for me, just not suck. He's going to be serviceable. He's not going to be great. I think he's got to turn a tidy profit right now at quarterback 16. I think it's going to be more like 17, 18. So slightly overvalued in my estimation as well. Mike Clay from ESPN's got him projected for 3,918 yards, 21 passing touchdowns, 10 INTs, 211 rushing yards, and a rushing TD. He was only number 35 last season. That's craptastic. And adjusted completion percentage. He was number 31. And deep ball completion percentage, better inside the red zone at number 14. And he was also number 16 at EPA of fantasy points per game. So he's just kind of a ho-hum, vanilla, middle of the road QB2 right now. Again, if you're in a single quarterback format, let it sip pina coladas in the free agent pool. He's at best like a bench guy they can lean on at bye weeks, not somebody you really want to trust week in and week out. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. I think he's slightly overvalued at quarterback 16. All right, let's go Joe Mixon. Is he going to be fixing to do some damage? RB15 is the ADP, 49.51 overall. So, Mixon, overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued?
It's crazy because last year I was pretty out on Joe Mixon. He's getting older, right? He's a running back. He was changing scenery, but now I'm back in. I think he's actually slightly undervalued. I don't know about top 10, but top 13, I think at least. I thought there was going to be a dip off last year with those offensive line struggles, but it didn't really matter, especially in the red zone or, on the goal line. He had 11 touchdowns, man, over 1,000 yards and still averaged over 4 yards per carry. The offensive line, again, is a concern, but I still like Joe Mixon, so I'll say top 13. I think slightly undervalued here.
All right, I'm looking it up here. My rankings I just updated today. I couldn't remember off the top of my head. They were at thegamingjuice.com. Again, go check out my free site, thegamingjuice.com. Got all my fancy fantasy football rankings there. Got blurbs on every single guy. I have Mixon exactly at RB13. So I'm with you, man. I am slightly undervalued at RB15, 49.51 overall. He's got a couple of good years left in the tank. He's 29 years old this season. Mike Clay, in 14 games, mind you, has got projected for 227 attempts, 951 rush yards, 10 rushing touchdowns, 38 catches, 321 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. He's got the 12th easiest projected fantasy strength of schedule for a running back. Clay's got him at RB13, exactly where I have him ranked. So we're congruent in that belief. I do worry about the run blocking and the offensive line. You mentioned with C.J. Stroud. They were also number 25 run blocking efficiency last season, were Texans, according to PFF. And, some of the secondary and Lennox stack rate. He was RB31 in yak per attempt last season, RB22 in total missed tackles forced, but he was number 5 in opportunity share. It's all about the volume. Pump up the volume, pump up the volume, pump up the volume, dance. And I'm going to do a little jig in my living room because I like Joe Mixon at his current valuation at 49.51. He is slightly undervalued. All right, let's go to Nico Collins, a guy I call Nuclear Nico because, he can make some explosive pass plays. Wide receiver 8 is the price at 13.21. Again, this is a half-point PPR format. So Horvat, knowing all that, overvalued, undervalued, or properly valued on Nico?
Man, properly is probably the right term, but I'm going to go actually undervalued here. He missed 5 games last season with the hamstring injury and then came back and wasn't even 100%. And he still had, last season, 68 receptions. He had over 1,000 receiving yards, and he had 7 touchdowns, which, again, love that prop over 6.5. He averaged almost 15 yards per reception. Tank Dell's not there. I like, what they did with Noel and Higgins, bringing them in, but they're rookies. Yeah, I think he's a little undervalued, man. I think he might be a top 5 receiver. And C.J. Stroud loves him. He just has to stay healthy and play all 17 games, or at least 15. But I'm pretty bullish on Nico this year.
Yeah, this is my pecking order right now among wide receivers at thegamingjuice.com and my wide receiver ranks. Number 101 at WR, Jamar Chase.
Yes.
Then Puka Nacua, Justin Jefferson at 3, CeeDee Lamb at 4, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 5, and then our guy, Nico Collins at 6. I'm with him. I think he's slightly undervalued. I think he's going to be a top 6 guy this season. Mike Clay at ESPN's got him predicted for 128 targets, 89 catches, 1,190 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. That's wide receiver 8, so a little more bearish than we are. He does have the second hardest projected fantasy strength of schedule for a wide receiver. But last season, he was absolutely fantastic. Number 22 in yak, number 3 in yards per route run, number 9 in yards per target, number 4 in fantasy points per route, and number 18 in route win percentage. Just strong advanced metrics across the board. He is going to be a king of consistency in this offense. I'm with you, man. Undervalued, although slightly because of the high price tag already on Nico Collins. All right, let's go to our second subject here in the 3-point stance on Houston and do a little prop stop. Joe Mixon, 950.5 rush yards. Ooh. It is minus 120 on the over, minus 110 on the under. Horvat, what do you say? Over or under?
Might lean under, man, right? Like, I could see him finishing with 850 to 900, but I don't want to bet the under only because last year, again, went over 1,000 yards. I would rather bet a touchdown prop, like a 7.5 or 8.5. I think he could have double-digit touchdowns. I just don't know that I want to bet him to have another 1,000-yard rushing season. The reason I don't want to fade it, though, the depth behind him. Who else is getting carries? Dameon Pierce, Woody Marks.
Right.
So I lean under just because it is a big number, but he's done it the last 2 years. So I lean under, but it'd probably be a dumb bet.
I am not touching this. I think it's perfectly priced,
yeah.
Quite frankly. How perfectly priced is it? This is a real projection from Mike Clay. 951 rush yards.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's right on the nose,
crazy. Man. Yeah, and the downside with all the running back props is the injury imp is always lurking and biting, right? So is he going to play, even 13, 14 games? It's always up in the air. It's a bit of a dice roll. Again, he was number 4 in EPA, fantasy points per game. I'm not betting this. If I had a lean, it would probably be naturally the over because I'm an eternal optimist. But yeah, no, I'm going to pass on this overall there on the 950.5 rush yards. What about C.J. Stroud passing touchdowns? It's 21.5, the number, minus 115 either direction.
Such a short number, man, but last year he only threw 20. His rookie year when we all fell in love with him, he had 23, so I feel like this would be a sweat. If you want to bet the over, the thing that I like, 23 years old, he's playing for that big contract this year. But again, I worry about the offensive line. Also, that pass rush and now that secondary is so good. I'm not saying they're going to be run first, but not a bad defense. I would lean under, but I don't want to bet that.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet either. Perfectly priced. If I had a lean, I think Captain Hook's coming to play 21 exactly. All right, let's go to team lean. Over under 9.5 wins for the Texans this season, plus 105 on the over, minus 125 in the under.
All right, so I'm not going to bet this. I slightly lean over because I think they win 10 games, and I think that the Jags win 11 to 12. I'm really bullish on Jacksonville. It'll come back to haunt me. Everybody could laugh at me. I really like this defense, so I don't think they're going to completely fall off a cliff, but I do not like this offseason. What they did, I should say, on the offensive line, man. Wide receiver room is better. I would have liked them to add another running back, especially with this deep class. Like, relying on Joe Mixon at this age and Dameon Pierce in a deep class like this, they should have taken one of those backs. I lean over, but slightly.
Yeah, I'm slightly under. I think it's going to be 9
Yeah.
exactly, though Mike Clay's got him at 9.7, and it gives him a better than 50% win probability to win 13 games, believe it or not, the Houston Texans. But I think it's 9
What?
wins for me. All right, we got to take a little siesta here on BetMGM Tonight. We come back, we'll give an update in OKC, Denver, also on the diamond, and our cards as well. How we do tonight on our bets? We'll tell you next right here, BetMGM Tonight on the BetMGM Network.
Brad Evans and Ryan Horvat will be right back with more Wagertainment on BetMGM.